Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and while I know Frozen's franchise is about the bond between sisters and their journey to find their places in the world, and I understand Elsa is the one who has the wonderful ice magic, the mysterious backstory, the booming emotional songs, and the grand iconic outfits, in my mind, Anna is the true hero. Elsa may be the sister with more cinematic and breathtaking moments, but Anna is the one who fights for her family, makes the difficult sacrifices, and is constantly moving forward as a character. Shout out to Tracy Hines, by the way, for bringing this concept up to me in a comment she made on one of my previous Frozen 2 videos. That idea brought this video down a completely different path. While Elsa is the one who is thought of as the sister who experienced a traumatic past after almost killing her sister and being isolated for most of her life, Anna went through a very similar experience. Anna was locked away, was never communicated to on what was going on, and was left aside for no apparent reason. Her best friend in the world turned her back on her, and Anna continued to remain goofy, quirky, positive, and optimistic throughout all of that adversity. Both of these sisters had many depressing years, especially when their parents died, but luckily Anna's excitement for the world continued to be preserved. Sure, she made some mistakes because of her bright, naive, and good heart. Yes, I'm looking at you, Prince Hans. Good for nothing pile of. But in fact, Anna's faith in people and her love for others was her greatest strength. When Anna went on that journey to save Elsa and Arendelle from the eternal winter, I'm still kind of wondering why they thought it would be eternal after only a few days, but hey, they're the ones in the land with magic, not me. This is where she began to mature and develop into a woman, a hero, and a leader. She rallied Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf to assist her to the North Mountain, grew to understand the meaning of true love, and came to the place where she was willing to turn away from her old concept of the world to save her sister. Even though Elsa had abandoned her kingdom after becoming queen and had frozen her heart, Anna was unwilling to stop fighting to bring them together again. In the words of the great Kristen Bell, who voiced Anna, Anna was an ordinary person doing an extraordinary thing. She was more daring than graceful and was a little awkward and not especially well spoken, but had one of the biggest hearts, was absolutely fearless, and had a deep faith in others that allowed her to save her sister and her kingdom. Yes, Elsa did develop in a way, but she did it in a very clear way. Elsa began as uncertain, nervous, and was full of fear, and she discovered that she could be her true self, but she did that when she was completely alone. As Schaefrellis mentioned in his video analysis of Elsa as a character, she seemed to have had her most character-defining moment when she sang Let It Go, and didn't seem to learn anything more about being a friend, a sister, or a queen throughout the rest of her journey. Of course, let me know down below if you perceived Elsa's story in a different way, but for me, that's just how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Now, if you adore Elsa, that is totally fine. While writing this video, I was still pulled into Let It Go like it was the first time I was watching it, and Show Yourself is absolutely breathtaking. I will admit I wanted the Elsa Disney Infinity figure when it was released. Elsa has her iconic moments that I can still appreciate even though I have my reservations as to how she was characterized throughout her story, especially when we compare her to Anna. Anna learns how to handle the world by being immersed in it, while Elsa begins to become confident and empowered by continuing to be alone, and only learns how to undo her curse because of Anna. It turns out as well that I wasn't the only person who noticed that Elsa and Anna were on two completely different trajectories. You know, I was a math major, but I still can't really say that word too well. In The Art of Frozen 2, which I will leave linked down below if you'd like to check it out yourself, we learn that directors Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, along with producer Peter Del Vecchio, discovered in their research to create Frozen 2, Anna's story aligned with that of a fairy tale, while Elsa's aligned with a myth. And here's what that means. For more context, fairy tales are often about ordinary characters in a magical world, people who must go through a difficult time but come out changed and triumphant. Anna was a typical person, dealing with Elsa's magic and discovering her ability to be a strong, capable, and successful individual. Myths, on the other hand, are about magical characters in an ordinary setting, beings who must bear the weight of the world on their shoulders and usually meet a tragic end. Elsa was a magical individual amongst normal human beings, who had to deal with stresses of being a queen with uncontrollable powers, who at one point believed that she had killed her sister, doomed her kingdom, and was going to die. When creating Frozen 2, the creators came to understand that they had written a story where two different types of tales were happening at the same time. And the ramifications of having both a fairy tale and a myth occurring was that Elsa's myth could conclude in Frozen with Anna's fairy tale intervening to save her from a tragic demise. Anna was created to be the sister who was able to save the day. And that continued to hold true throughout every Frozen story since. In Frozen Fever, when Elsa is attempting to throw Anna a birthday party to make up for all the time they had lost, even though she is horribly sick, Anna keeps her from falling off of a building. That kind of would have been an anticlimactic way for the Snow Queen to die, but at least Anna was there. In Olaf's Frozen Adventure, it's Anna who cheers up Elsa when Elsa believes she's the reason they don't have any traditions. And in Frozen 2, this type of journey between these two sisters continues, which a part of me feels a little disappointed by. As someone who grew up on the Disney Renaissance princess films and epic musicals, I was blown away when I saw Frozen in theaters over Thanksgiving with my cousins when I was 15. This was one of the Disney animated films that kind of recaptured my appreciation for Disney when I was going through an awkward few years as a teenage boy. Believe it or not, most guys in my grade weren't vying to talk about many of the long-winded Disney debates that I have here on my channel. And that's part of the reason why I love making this content, to help those people know that their interests are shared by many other people. Going into Frozen 2 then, I was really hoping to see Elsa and Anna continue to be developed, but in a lot of ways, I didn't see that as much with Elsa. I've made video after video attempting to grapple with what I just didn't think lined up for me right away, or what I was struggling to understand about Elsa. I talked about how I think her powers work, her troubled relationship with Anna, which was definitely the topic that got me the most under my skin, and why she left Arendelle. Originally, even this entire video was going to be culminating all of these ideas into explaining that the biggest issue for me with Elsa was that she just seemed to have a lot of character regression in the sequel. I didn't feel like she was building as a character. At the beginning of Frozen and Frozen 2, Elsa feels uncertain about the future, is keeping Anna at a distance, and is wrestling with her growing powers. Elsa seems to be starting at the same place in Frozen 2 that she was in her original story. Then, Elsa goes on a journey alone again to sing two grand songs that both seem like they are attempting to be Let It Go. And these songs allow her to discover more about herself, and she comes out learning that she has to live out her days as her true self. While I wanted to learn more about Elsa, and in some ways we definitely did, I longed for her to move forward in her life. She did go off to do something else, as she is now the guardian of the Enchanted Forest, but she doesn't feel any different to me. Elsa even cringes at her large character-defining moment with Let It Go as she goes to discover herself again. And I think part of that repetition comes down to keeping Elsa in the myth storyline. Elsa again was dealing with her sister, the growing magic she possessed, and her place in the world, and again almost had a depressing death. It almost seemed like in an attempt to follow the structure of Frozen, the creators kept Elsa going on the same journey. Anna, on the other hand, faced new struggles and new difficult choices that continued her on the journey we had already seen her begin. I'm not saying she didn't have any misjudgments and didn't make any wrong choices, but I felt for the most part she kept transforming in a fantastic way. Anna remains grounded, focused, and full of love for her family as she ventures into the Enchanted Forest. As Elsa tries to pull away from her, Anna keeps supporting her as she always had done. But she also embraces the fact that she can still be frustrated and upset with how her sister is treating her. And when Anna learns the truth as to what her grandfather had done to the Northuldra people, is left alone in the dark cave when Olaf disappears, and is faced with the fact that Arendelle might need to fall, Anna rises to the occasion. After she had spent all of Frozen facing struggles to create a new family for herself, in Frozen 2, Anna was forced to face life without them, and we see her prevail so that she could set her family's mistakes right. Anna isn't just capable of leading others and sacrificing herself, but we learn she's also willing to give up her home and get up when there is little to no hope within her. We've always known that she was driven, but now we know more about her character because we are shown that every part of her can be kept going not by Elsa, her family, or anyone else, but a responsibility within her to do what is right. She's become more complex and mature. And similarly to how in Frozen, Elsa undid the eternal winter, in Frozen 2, Elsa may have given Anna the knowledge she needed to know to take down the dam, and she saved Arendelle with her magic, but all the burden of Arendelle and the Enchanted Forest's fate fell upon Anna. It was Anna's decisions to break down the destructive dam that broke the curse that had frozen Elsa and had been cast across the Enchanted Forest. These two sisters just had different fates in their world. As I explained in my video talking about why Elsa left Arendelle, Elsa was a person who embodied the traits of a protector, while Anna was a leader, which aligned with each of the roles they took on. As two halves of the fifth spirit, Elsa was meant to look after the spirits and the people of the Enchanted Forest, while Anna was fit to be a guiding force as queen of the kingdom of Arendelle. And as I continue to think about Frozen 2, Anna becoming queen makes me happier and happier. In my opinion, she absolutely deserves to watch over her home that she loves so much. While Elsa has continuously been overwhelmed and destroyed by her burden and magic, Anna has grown, developed into a leader, and has saved her family, the Enchanted Forest, and Arendelle on multiple occasions. That's why, for me, Anna is the true hero of Frozen. But let me know down below what your thoughts are around who is the hero of the Frozen films. Also, make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell, and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen. My playlist with everything that I discussed about Elsa will be linked below. And finally, as always, thanks for watching and have a magical day.